All right, it looks like we're live. Let's make some shafts. So I planned on coming back and live streaming a couple hours ago, but I was waiting on a delivery and somebody unintentionally took a nap on the couch. Maybe it was a little intentional. So I got a new extractor for the sander. So that's exciting, I guess. It's almost as exciting as buying a vacuum cleaner. Hey guys, welcome in. I can see the chat if you guys have anything you'd like to talk about. There's an 8-inch shaft. The bottom gets sanded on the next step. So there we go. Turkish drop spindle. So this one has like a compound twist in it. But I ordered these oversized, so I should be able to get the diameter down and hopefully true it up. So we'll see. So I'm using a roughing gouge just to get down close to the correct diameter. I'm going to switch out for spindle gouge. Which just gives you a little bit more control. Doesn't take as much off, but definitely leaves you a better finish. Quite a bit of vibration. Honestly, not surprised. So we're going to make this one into a 4 1/4 inch rather than an 8 inch. How often do I suck up the sandpaper? Not very. But I'm having a bad day, I'll put this chicken wire in here. And then I can't suck up the sandpaper. Most of the time it goes straight through, but occasionally it'll get caught. You know, there's a guard on the infeed, on the inlet, and it'll get stuck on there. And I gotta shut it down and stick my hand in there. So I've been sharing my extractor with the girlfriend. So it's been really cutting down on my amount of suction. But today she got her own little one, so I'm back. So there's a 4 1/4 inch. Which goes with the fitting, which I actually have one here. Pretty much. They're pretty much golf tees. Yeah, it would just be, let's see here. Put a divot on the end. Do you have anything that goes in? Goes in there? The main reason for the exhaust here isn't to catch, 100% of the chips. It's to catch the really fine sawdust. That's what I don't want to be breathing in. Do you have the thing that goes in? I'm not quite sure what you're asking. Like the arms? I make it a golf tee. I don't know why, but I am. So the divot's a little small, but the shaft is should be more tapered. But yeah, that's very golf tee-ish. Okay, so the drop spindle by itself, hang on a second. So there's one that's been completed. It's not sanded yet. And then this is one that I've spun yarn on. So you spin yarn on these, so it's what came before the spinning wheel. So I've got a little bit of roving in here. So this is wool. So a sheep got a haircut, then they washed it. Processed it so all the hairs are going in the same direction. Hey Pedro, how's it going? So you spin the spindle and that puts twist into the fiber. And then with my hands, I'm defining the thickness of the yarn and how much twist is going into it. So what I'm doing with my hands is called drafting. So you spin a length, and then you store it on the spindle. And then you just continue to spin till that's full. And then you take these and you apply them together to make it thicker, and yeah, then you get yarn. Exactly. Oh, thank you, honey. Yes, I do sell these. I've been making these full time for 12 years. But more importantly, what is this? I've got a cappuccino that was freshly delivered. Hello, welcome in. And of course, it's in my my backwards printed "Stop Staring at My Balls" cup that I made. So yeah, I forgot to reverse it, which is just basic 101 stuff. But it kind of comes in handy because if I do a reverse, you know, if I do if I have the front-facing camera, then that's right. Right? Pretty much. And even though I sell these, I'm not selling them on this channel. I'm just working. Keeping the lights on, you know? Oh, no. Not at all. It's a very niche item, you know? If this is something that everybody would want, they would be made, well, they are made commercially in big shops as well, but there wouldn't be a market for me. It would just be a race to the bottom. I don't know. I find it very satisfying to work with my hands, you know? I did factory work for almost 20 years. Well, there you go. So this type of spinning, this type of turning on the lathe, it's spindle work, and I'm making spindles, so yeah. Funny how that works out. So I'd be using the same tools and the same processes if I was making spindles for like the back of chairs or furniture or magic wands or pens. You know, let's say I made a lidded box, and on the top of the lid, I would want to have a finial on the top. It'd basically be this as well. So I use a piece of wire to burn in lines. A lot of people use guitar strings, which work great. I just have a whole bunch of this wire. Hey, Matt, how's it going? Welcome in. Seen a guy make bullet pins? Oh, careful. I don't have enough people in here for that. Feels a little bit like TikTok. All right, now I'm just burnishing with wood chips. Think of it like a friction polish. And we're going to add some wax. So these are going to be used with a lot of wool. So there's going to be a little bit of lanolin on them. So you don't really want to put a really protective finish on it. You don't want a hard finish on it. A little bit of lanolin will keep it nice and supple. This is wax. This is paste wax. I've used beeswax mixed with mineral oil in the past. That works too. The good old paste finishing wax. Alright, have fun. Thanks, Monk Fry. Much appreciated. So we went from this to this. And when I cut these out on the scroll saw, we cut these earlier today on stream. Yeah, if you use a crayon, it probably would transfer over. You know, those people like the cat cutouts. Pretty sells. It always does. Okay, so this piece, I don't like the grain there. It's kind of crossing over kind of at this angle instead of being this way. So if I would thin that out, it would be very easy to break. So I flipped it over. This side, the grain is much better. It's more... It's a little bit hard to see. But this one isn't perfectly straight either. So I eyeball it, put it towards as much at the center as I can. And then I back out the tailstock. And I'll start it out, and then I'll put the tailstock in. So what I'm looking for is the true center. Because this thing is not perfectly straight, you know, if it's bent, if you would mark the center here and put it in there, it would be the center of this plane. Hey Thomas, how's it going? It'd be the center of this plane right here, but not the center of the shaft. So then you would have a very not straight shaft when you're done. So I'm just going to take the tailstock, gently bring it in, and Bob's your uncle. Now, if I was going to be using this for like a back of a chair or like under the arm of a chair, it wouldn't have to be perfectly straight. But because, you know, this is, you know, basically, you know, it's a machine. It's an axle, so it needs to be straight. So we've been using Spindle since at least Neolithic times. So it's nothing new. It's the definition of an early simple machine. Now there's a lot of different types. Hey, Ellen. A lot of different types, a lot of different sizes and shapes. Kind of dependent on the fiber that was available. If you're spinning cotton, you're going to need a different spindle than spinning wool. Alright, so we made as much as we could while it's between centers, which just means it's clamped in here, and there's a pin in here, it's a live center, so there's a pin that's actually spinning on a bearing there. So now I'm going to form the finial, back this up. Because I'm using the chuck, I can do it this way. If I didn't have a chuck, it would be a process of doing a lot of finishing off the lathe to get that to work. I just find this is the fastest way to do it for me. So this one is cherry. It's a standard. It's like one of my least expensive ones. This is what I start people out on. Those are primarily domestic woods. So when you get into the exotic woods, there are a lot of... They're more this shape, but bigger. Can we do a bottom piece? I don't have any laid out. Let's see if I can dig one up. Hey, honey. Can you drill a couple spindles for me? Just like 2. Yeah, I can go over and make one. Actually, if you just want to grab the ones that are drilled and throw like a mini glider on there.
Oh, he's here.
Yeah, I just need 1 or 2 to cut out. Oh, it's not a big deal. She's nice, right? Yeah, I got a nod there. She's not mad. Hey Robert, how's it going? It's all right. I do also 3D print the arms. Which isn't for everybody, but you know, I tend to sell them a lot more to younger people because they don't have to charge as much. Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm trying to get up to 12,000 subscribers. There's a different content creator. I think he's at 12,500. I just want to get above him. That's it. Thank you. All right. Hey Melvin, how's it going? So we'll finish this one up and then... Right? Boy, if I'd stop doing my job. Yeah, the process isn't too bad these days. You know, if you just want to print out something that somebody else has made, depending on your printer, you know, a lot of them have like galleries where everything's already done already. You kind of just hit print, bring it in, and then you can make it. But if you start designing your own files, then there's a lot of kind of thought involved too. You want to take the limitations of the machine and use them to your advantage. You know, if you're printing something that the bottom is circular on, you're going to have to put supports in to support it while it prints, and then there's a lot of cleaning up. Where if you could take it and maybe flip it over where the circle would be facing down, then it could print without any supports. Alright, so after this one, we're just going to run over to the scroll saw, cut a couple out. Oh, it's not. I'll show you the vacuum in a second. So we'll follow the hose back. So it's actually going into another room. It's not horribly loud, but it is much louder in here. So this is my wood storage, and I keep boxes in here for shipping. That's a mess, ignore that, but got the planer in here and the drum sander. Actually, since I'm going to be cutting, I know it's not very long, but I'll shut that off. Yeah, it's not bad, it's like 20 feet. Alright, this is a scroll saw we're going to be using. Oh yeah, and this is a shop. So we are printing some dragons. We got another 3 hours on these. Yeah, it's not so bad with the door shut. These are TPU. So they're squishy filament. We got the laser engravers over here. All right. So yeah, this is a scroll saw. This is what I cut the arms out on. And I'm only going to cut out 2 little things. Oh yeah, we can do fishing lures. Oh, okay. Put the monitor over here. Here we go. So the scroll saw has a reciprocating blade. It just goes up and down. So this blade is clamped on the top and the bottom. Turn it on. All right, I got to switch the blade. I was cutting something. I was cutting the inside of like this out, so I was using a much finer blade to get more detail. So the nice thing about this this style, you just have 2 thumb screws, and then you just turn that up to tension, and then If you need to adjust it, you can adjust it on the back. I'm starting it with a foot pedal. Yeah, these blades are tiny. This isn't even... This is one of the smaller ones I have. I don't know if you can wrap your head around that. And these have little individual teeth on, if you get close enough. Yeah, these blades are tiny. What blades do I generally use? I prefer like a modified geometry blade. This current one is a Pegasus. I don't use Pegasus all the time. I really like Olson Mach Speed blades, and Nikwa blades are good as well. Nikwa is also sold under Flying Dutchman in the United States. Yeah, there's a lot of muscle memory. If you got a decent blade in there and it's sharp, you could feel what the blade's gonna do. You know, this isn't something where you could set up, set up a jig or anything to run it through. These blades, they're stamped out, and then they do grind on them to flatten them out. But there is still a burr on one side, so if you're gonna cut straight, you actually have to angle it to compensate for it. So the cool thing about having just a little 5-inch plain end blade, I'm going to just lay out this mortise. So we can actually take the blade off, put it through the hole, and we can make internal cuts. Right? Not sure why. That's okay. Yeah, you guys give me if you like what you're seeing, just tap the screen a couple times. That'll help bring some more people in here. So I'm just verifying that the hole is centered, which it is. So there you go. I'm gonna swap this blade out. So we're gonna go with the Nikwa blade. So if I come back a little bit. So they actually have blade storage on the side of this saw, so you could take these test tubes. They hold the blades really well. That way you could store 12 blades, 6 on each side. But like, who's gonna have 12 different style blades? I mean, it's crazy. Hey 98, how's it going? So I've got, like 10 up there. I don't have have all of them full. But these are my other blades, and they're all different. I feel kind of like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. You know, when you start a drug collection, you have a suitcase full of this and that. So it does look like a science lab. So the white caps that came with them, these caps here, tend to pop off real easy. So I just went in and I designed these caps. These are made out of TPU. I 3D printed them. So they're squishy and they hold on really well. So I don't have to worry if I drop something, it's not going to dump out. And I joke with the girlfriend that we should have, you know, an RV that we make spindles in. Go out in the desert. Yeah. Yep. Squishy, squishy. So TPU is a polyurethane. So it's like the same material that they make like shopping cart tires out of. Is the printer and materials expensive? My mind went straight to fishing lures. You know, the small printer that I'm printing the blue stuff on, it's like a $250 printer. The ones for the dragons, that has an AMS, so you could print out 4 different colors at a time. So you could do multicolored stuff. You can actually daisy chain 4 of them on there and do 16 different colors. Seems a little crazy. And those are for like the Bamboo Lab ones. You can get knockoff printers that are cheaper. I'm not sure how the Creality printers are, but I think they're getting better now as far as the rip-off of the... You know, if you're going to make lures, you know, you're not going to need a huge bed, so you can get away with a smaller printer. And they do make AMSs for the smaller ones too if you want to incorporate different colors. Unfortunately, you can't mix and match like the normal PLA with TPU. You know, different plastics, they have wildly different, not wildly different, they have different temperatures they need to be. So you kind of have to stick with filaments that are in the same range. Now, as far as the materials go, it comes in rolls of filament that are usually 1 kilo, and it can range anywhere. You know, on the TikTok shop, you can get rolls for $8. Usually, the stuff I get is usually between $20 and $30 a roll. But what happens is if you buy cheap filament, it doesn't print as well, and the colors are not consistent from one roll to the other. So since I'm making things and selling them online, I don't want to retake pictures all the time of the colors changing. So I just stick with one brand. I'm using Hatchbox right now for the majority of the PLA, which is made in China. It's good filament, you know. There's expensive stuff out there. PLA is pretty cheap, TPO is pretty cheap, but if you start getting into the more exotic filaments, they can get really expensive real quick. Hey Ham, how's it going? Welcome in. And you know, typically when you print something, it's going to have infill in it. So you're going to be printing like an outside piece that's solid. There's going to be a couple layers that are solid, and then the inside they'll print like a honeycomb or a grid type shape to keep the weight down, and so it doesn't take as long to print. But you can also set the printers up to stop at a specific layer. So if you're going to be making a fish lure that you want some more weight on, you could use that infill, and you could like put BBs on the inside or bearings to add weight to it. So there's a lot of options you could do there. All right, I'm gonna head on back to the lathe. But yeah, so this saw here, this is my Pegasus. This saw here is about $1,000 US, give or take. When I do a lot of YouTube videos, I don't use these. I go over here, and then I have some Harbor Freight tools. So the Bauer here, I have been using it, but I work in a workshop, so it gets dusty. Great saw for the money. I think this is like $250. I'm in the United States. Yeah, Filament comes in kilos or 2.2 pounds. I'm actually in Wisconsin. That's why I have this crazy Midwestern accent. Yeah, I design things in metric as well. It's just easier for me. Oh yeah, where are you at? South Carolina? Yeah, I actually do 2 shows in North Carolina. I did 1 show in South Carolina. It was in the TV studio for the PTL club, so like right on the border. I do one. The one that's coming up in March is in Raleigh, and then I just did one a few weeks ago that was in Fletcher, so right by Asheville. Yeah. Yeah, Asheville got whooped by that hurricane last year. Which is weird because it's so far away from the ocean. Yeah, last year's show was canceled. You're a diesel mechanic in Spike Business? Oh, I bet. Yeah, I worked for 6 years at Oshkosh Truck. I was an assembler. Primarily Caterpillar engines for the most part. Some of the older stuff would get some Detroit diesel engines. You work at Their JLG line's quite a good bit. Yeah, Oshkosh owns JLG. They also own that towing company that makes all the tow trucks. Jordan, they own that too. Oh. Hey Bing, how's it going? Yeah, I worked on the main line. I worked for a few years, close to the end of the assembly line, flying in hoods and stuff. And then I spent the majority of my time there working in the lube rack. So we would do the driveline tests and make sure everything was working before they put tires on it. Oh, and then they started getting some frickin' they're making some cement trucks that had natural gas. Oh, that sucked for me. They didn't make enough to pipe it in or have a station where you could fill it. So behind the truck, there's a cart that had God, what was it? 8 tanks that had a whole hook up and try to get it going. What a pain in the ass. So yeah, about, I don't know, 13, 14 years ago, they finished up some contracts and laid a whole bunch of people off. I was there 6 years and I made it until the 3rd set of layoffs. So I started doing this and I fell in love with doing this. And about a year later, they called me back and they were going to put me not in an assembly role. They're going to put me in the coding department where they would dip stuff. And I didn't want to do that. I wasn't making a lot of money when, the first year of doing this, but I didn't wake up every morning going, oh my God, I gotta go to work. Stayed in the same driveline field. Yeah. I was a glorified gas station attendant. Pumped a lot of diesel, I'll tell you that. Yeah. So, I found a hole in the marketplace. So spindles tend to be really cheap or really expensive. There wasn't really a middle ground, so that's kind of where I was going. Telling my age now, right? I didn't have a cell phone until my second child came around. I started doing this out of the house, and I was working out of a little shed, which is fine, except for winters get kind of harsh here. So it'd be go out, and I only had an electric heater on the ceiling because it was a 10 by 10 shop, and I didn't want to kill myself. Silly me. So. you'd have to go out and turn things on and wait an hour or two. And we were very lucky. We found a commercial shop that's 5 minutes away from the house. It's like a 15-minute walk. So it's a little town that the downtown has died. There's no... On the street that I am in the downtown North Fond du Lac, there's a bar 2 doors down that way, 3 doors down that way, a bar 2 doors down that way, and a bakery across the street, and that's about it. So trying to rent out this old building for retail doesn't make sense. It was a workshop before this. Growing up, this used to be a silk screening shop. And then the neighbor next door, he makes mantles, fireplace mantles. So he had both buildings and he gave one of them up. And then a knife maker was in here for a while. And then some lady was, I don't know, trying to sell alcohol here. I'm not sure what it was. And now it's me. This is going to be a little funky. It's got a little discoloration to it. But yeah, we've been in here a little over a year. We got a 3-year lease. We'll see what happens. If you try jacking up the rent, there's several storage units that have workspaces in as well. So if you're just joining us, we are making shafts for drop spindles. These are Turkish drop spindles that are used for spinning yarn. Yeah. Yep, we got a little house. There's no room. I mean, yeah, I was working out of the house. I was working out of the bedroom and shit. So this is much better. You know, if we moved and there was a 2-car garage, I could probably swing it if I took over, you know, several rooms in the house to put the other things in that aren't woodworking. You know, if this was a busy town and there's street traffic, you know, I wouldn't be here, you know. The rent is pretty reasonable for what it is. The sawdust doesn't mess too much with the 3D printing. We try to suck up all the little stuff here. You know, there's dust on the top of stuff, but, you know, these are enclosed. Like this stuff, I'm going to have to... I use pressurized air to blow it off. I'm running this super, super slow, so... Yeah, as long... It's far enough away where it's dusty, but I haven't dusted in a while. Probably a month. So let's go out here. Hey, honey, did you get that message? Did you reverse it, or? Okay. Yeah, so this is our little front area. Can I play the piano? I can play chopsticks. That's about it. So that's our new addition to the shop. We're gonna start having people in here spinning and doing craft stuff. So. And yeah, these racks are where the product go. So this rack is Etsy. This one is Shopify. Yeah, it's not too bad. I mean, we're trying not to go out to eat, so we got the microwave, the air fryer, the refrigerator. It's not bad. Bathroom. Then got a little wine refrigerator, because why not? But yeah. Yeah, so... Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot. Yeah. Been walking around. So I was talking about the tools I had, and then... I also have a CNC machine, which I've been... I'm just getting into it, learning how to use it, but... So I cut out these things. These are nitty knotties. It's for wrapping yarn when you're done. I don't know if I can do this one-handed. I am pretty talented, but there you go. So you wrap your yarn around that. So when you wrap it around, you know, each wrap is 2 yards, so you can get an estimate of your overall length. So I could cut these out on the scroll saw. I could laser engrave them. I have other plans for this machine, but this is a good way to start it out. And then I laser engrave, you know, a sheep spinning yarn, because why wouldn't you, you know? Yep, so I do have a monitor here. Well, it's a TV. So when I'm working, I can see the chat. We normally wear hearing protection, which is also Bluetooth, so we can listen to some music. Hey, Anton, how's it going? Ooh, this one's turning out really pretty. Yeah, we had a customer let us know that Vicky, we had a Red Heart spindle with a Bacote shaft, and she got them mixed up. So somebody was nice enough to let us know so she could fix the listing. So yeah, this whole business thing, it's me and my girlfriend. We've been together 13 years. Probably longer than that, probably 15 years. $10 extra for the knot. It's getting pretty. Yeah, these arms are ash. Ching. So the girl who said, "Oh, you got it wrong. You have to fix this," so we fixed it and she bought it. So she could have just bought it. She could see what it was. Alright, I'm done with 8-inch shafts, and I'm going to switch over to 6. So I'm going to go throw these on the table. So instead of 8-inch shafts, now we're shooting for 6. So to know the length, I just have marks on my tool rest. Just less yarn. It's for the smaller the spindle, the thinner the yarn. Yes, it'll hold less, but to put things into perspective, this is a plying spindle. The arms are 7 inches long. This is a mini, so that's the size, the biggest and the smallest that I make. So that's for really thick art yarn, or if we're taking multiple strands and putting them together to make thicker yarn. Where this is for spinning cobweb to lace weight, super, super, super thin. Where you'd have to, do like probably a 5 or a 6 ply to get up to like embroidery floss. So, yeah. So there's just a wide range of sizes. Which can be confusing when you're first starting out. So when I go to shows, I spend, all weekend talking to people and trying to figure out, if you spin already and you know what you're doing, the world's your oyster. I'll leave you alone. I'll cut the shit with you, but I'm not gonna, try to help you out. But if you're just starting out and you're like, you grab a little one, I'm like, that's not the best to start with. And I have people, when they buy the spindle, I'll usually give them a little instruction. I'll spin a little bit for them. And I tell them that I want them to come back next year, and I want to see how much they progressed. So the last show I had three different people come up from last year and show me their spinning, and they're still doing it, which is amazing. So I believe that a lot of the real little ones end up sitting on a shelf as a decoration. They'll spin them up and then just put them in a cubicle or whatever. Which I'm totally fine with. I don't care. I gotta retape my sign there. It's falling down. I got 6 inch. There we go. So this is a newer spindle. It's the same as the standard, it's just scaled down. We call this the little standard. And what it's kind of doing is it's replacing this one. This is a Rekoff, which is Dutch for fawn. And this is Jobillo, or Tigerwood. So, different shape, just trying to So we're offering both right now. We'll see. So yeah, there's a lot of. I know this looks just like, you know, three pieces of wood shoved together, but the dimensions, the weight, the length of the shaft, everything is dependent on everything else. So you just can't sit down and say, okay, I'm going to draw this out. There's refinement that needs to be done. So that's ready for sanding. And I'm still working on my cappuccino. I'm getting there. Okay. So this one is way off. So this may or may not work. Right? You could make a toothpick out of this wood. This is Vera wood, or Argentina ligamente. It's very, very heavy. It's very expensive. So this one's made out of genuine mahogany. The rich, dark mahogany. Once you put a finish on there, it's really deep. Hey Virgil, how's it going? Welcome in. Let's back off and see what this looks like. That's not bad. I was worried for nothing. Yeah, so we're turning hard maple. It's just a very stable wood, and it's got very small pores, so you're not seeing a bunch of dots on it all over the place. So right now my girlfriend is doing listings. She's putting things up on Etsy. She also lays out the pattern. And she drills the center hole for me. So she does the pattern layout, and she also does the finishing sanding for the most part. So those are like the two of the least favorite things for most woodworkers. Layout sucks. Finishing sucks. I would recommend finding a Vicky. She's actually got a couple degrees. She's got a degree in accounting, and then she also has a degree in forensic science. So I have to be nice to her because she could kill me and get away with it. She's not. She's the most down-to-earth person. You just gotta find the right Vicky. It's just gonna be a mystery what we're making. Waterboy found the right one. Well, you know, when you start out with some high quality H2O, what mama doesn't know won't hurt her. Ah, Bobby Boucher. Mama says they're ornery because you got all those teeth and no toothbrush. I have not seen Waterboy in a long time. I haven't seen Happy Gilmore 2 either. I'd like to. We are making drop spindles for spinning yarn. We are turning the shaft spindles. So we'll see if this... I gotta go get a piece of tape. It keeps falling down. Yeah, right. I have a little cell phone holder that I used to use. So just pop it on there. But it's out of view. Guess we'll stick with the tape for now. I've been rearranging stuff. That should hold. I'm gonna replace my sandpaper. So, doing production work, I like to have my supplies and my tools, everything within reach. So like the wire I used to burn, I have a magnet on it, and I stick to my lathe. The wrenches I use are on magnets on the lathe. This little jig I use, magnet on the lathe. And then I also do that with my pen, my pencils, so you can find it. This is a Laguna. It's a Laguna Revo 1216. So this is their MIDI size lathe. So it's not the small one, it's not the big one. It's, for me, this is the Goldilocks lathe. It's big enough where I can make all the spindles I want to, but it's not big enough to make baseball bats, pool sticks. Whoa, Nelly. Let's try that again. Spun out on that one. So I've been really happy with the Laguna. It's got pulse width modulation on it. So it's really torquey at slow speeds. Yeah, I can't make pool sticks. It's not long enough. Rats. So when I bought this lathe, I was working out of a 10-foot by 10-foot bedroom. It was the arm, the middle arm. Yeah. If you could get me a different middle arm, I saved it. You can find a piece of maple that matches. I'll make it. Yeah, so when I bought this, I was in a very small workshop. But this size just does everything I need, so. I was looking at the Powermatic, their MIDI size lathe. And it was so heavy that I couldn't move it, so I got this one. Hello, Chucky. Do I knit? Yes, I do. I'm more of a crocheter, but I can knit. For me, knitting seems to be very rigid. You have your pattern, you follow your pattern, and I've been crocheting a lot longer than knitting, so I feel like when I'm knitting, I can fudge. If I mess up, I can hide a lot of my mistakes. Yeah. I mean, It's basically if you hand me a crochet hook, a granny square appears. It's like, oh, guess we're making granny squares. Carpal tunnel from turning wrenches prevents it? Yeah. I don't know if you can see it, but from there to there, and then from there to there. It's been like 30 years, so the scars have faded quite a bit, but yeah, carpal tunnel's a pain. You know, this helped a little bit, but yeah. Yeah, I got carpal tunnel in both wrists. I have tendonitis in my elbows and my shoulders. Because I used to be a working man. Yeah. But sometimes it'd be better to lose some feeling in your hands and, you know, wake up like in a claw and you can't move your hands and, you know. So I did a bunch of physical therapy. They ultrasonically put can't think of what it's called. Hey honey, what do they inject into your wrists when you have carpal tunnel? It's not silicone, I can't think of what it was, but yeah, that didn't work. And what's that? Yeah, I don't remember. When I was getting my surgery done in the first one, I'm like, so doc, am I nuts? He's like, no, everything is purple in here. There's no blood supply. So I had that going for me. So that's another bonus of working for yourself. You know, so if something's messed up, you can do something else. I do have neuropathy in my hands and in my feet. So yeah, when I was working on the assembly line, hang on, I'm getting a cramp in my back. Okay. Yeah, so when it was, you know, working on the assembly line, I kind of had to find positions that I could work around. You know, you can't say, oh yeah, my carpal tunnel is really super bad, because then you're going to be on light duty and deal with all that crap. So there's another style, I don't have any here. They're top whirl spindles. So instead of having the weight on the bottom, they got the weight on the top. So I used to cut them out on the scroll saw for a long time, and then I started laser engraving them. So these are the whirls themselves. So now I'm making them on the CNC machine, and then I turn them on the lathe here. So I'm trying to kind of change my workflow over a little bit, so I'm not doing a ton of physical things all the time, because I plan on doing this for hopefully another 15-20 years. So I just have to work smarter. I'm 50. I'm 50. I'm done with child support. We're empty nesters now. I don't have kids at home anymore. It's kind of wonderful. Just throwing grass this 34. Hey, how's it going, man? How are we doing today? Yeah, I started this business, God. So yeah, I would have been, what, 38 when I started? I am not a mathematician. So this piece is okay, this wood. This is tiger wood or jobillo. Sometimes you get the color variations real deep, where it'll be like the dark will be running through the whole thing. It almost looks like marble rye bread. Sounds about right. Hey, Christopher, how's it going? I'm sorry, Christoph. Ooh. We'll see. I'm doing my best not to raise my prices. And so far, most of the woods I use, the exotic woods, haven't been too bad because they buy them the year before. So we'll see what happens next year. I mean, it's at the Supreme Court whether the tariffs are going to stand or not. You mentioned you used a scroll saw. What do you use to cut the cross pieces for the spindles now? Oh, I still use a scroll saw. For the top ones, I'm using a CNC machine. So like these are all cut out on the CNC machine. So the Turkish spindles I'm still cutting on the scroll saw, but these I cut out on the CNC machine, and then I turn them on the lathe and round them all over and make them pretty. Sorry about that. Yeah, I used a laser engraver for quite a few years. It just gave like a black edge around the outside that I really wasn't a fan of. So I'm in very early stages of developing a wooden spinning wheel. So that was kind of the reason for getting the CNC machine. So now I'm just trying to get familiar with it. I haven't had a ton of time. The workflow isn't too bad. I'm used to 3D printing. So it's pretty similar. You just have to tell the CNC machine what to do and how to do it and when to do it. So a lot of fingers crossed. Right? I was designing a fishing lure for my brother. This was years back. Then I got busy. Yeah, my brother's an avid fisherman. And he likes a specific style lure, but he wants something a different size and a different weight. And yeah. I don't have a boat. I tend to go fishing for like bluegill and perch. So I like going fishing in Buffalo Lake. It's about an hour away from where I am, but it's where I grew up fishing. So, as far as shore fishing, it's not bad. A lot of people go in there. There's a lot of bass in there, so you get bass boats. So, do you drill out the center holes on the cross arms before the scroll saw? We do. Before. There'd be a lot more waste on the CNC machine. Yeah, I'm thinking if I make a center jig with a pin where I could take the piece of wood with the center hole, put it in there, and then have the CNC machine already registered to that point. So then you would clamp it down, pull the pin out, and then run the job. It's an option. But as far as right now, I think the CNC machine's faster. No, the scroll saw is faster. But we'll see. Because like this style... There you go. I just cut a center line through there to get these two pieces. So I can use a relatively small piece of wood. On the CNC machine... You know, I'm probably going to have like a 1/4 inch thick, so it'd have to be like that far apart and that much bigger, just for the waste. We'll see, though. It's something I haven't played with yet. Yeah, that'd be a lot of material. I mean, they make smaller bits. I just feel they're gonna burn out real quick. Three tops to one bottom, yeah. You know, if I was selling like a ton a day, then that would be something I'd have to look into. So the nice thing about the CNC machine is, you know, I can see it from everywhere in the shop. So I can run a job and just monitor it while I'm doing something else. It's kind of like the 3D printers and the laser engravers. You got to keep an eye on them, but you can be a little bit more productive. Right. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I would just have to change the file. It's not a real big deal. Yeah, it's just one of those things that I'm going to have to spend a bunch of time learning, which is fine. So I buy these tins. I don't have any nice ones here, but yeah, I put my logo on them and I give them away at shows. So people buy I make earrings too, little earrings. So if they buy little stuff, if they get a free tin. Trying to think how many are a box. Usually I give away about 50 a show. So it's a 3-day show, it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday show. They're usually gone on Friday. So most people don't know they exist if they don't come to the show right away. Yeah, I make a lot of teardrop style earrings on the laser engraver. Put images and designs on them. I also sublimate them so I can put pictures on them. That's not a bad idea. You should make a sign holder with the spindles to show what you're making with the sign. So it's kind of funny, like my lathe setup. So my whole life, lathes have always been against the wall. So I've always been staring against a wall. So come back to the door. So I've got things past there, so I can see what's going on. You know, I can turn and see what's going on in the front. I'm not facing away from everything. So yeah, this setup with a table here. If I was making different things, this setup would be horrible because I don't have access to the block to knock things out that way. But since this is what I specifically do, for me, this is just golden. I mean, I store my tools cutter side up. They should be cutter side down, but it's just me in the shop. I'm not going to have little kids coming around hitting things. So. I got the fancy light. Oh, it even says Laguna on it. Right? I have run box fan filters for a long time. You're doing the all sides one, that's nice. I actually have a box fan that came with a filter already in it. That takes a 20 by 20 by 1 filter. Yeah, when I was working in that little shop, you really had to. But, you know, now that I'm in here, you know, we're running, you know, extractors. Yeah, I've also got one of those filters that you mount on the ceiling. Which was great, except for we got 12-foot tall ceilings in here. And really don't have any juice to plug it in. But we do have, when I blow the shop out, we do have that. So if you come over here, so this goes to one of those big bells on the ceiling, you know, that you see in like top of restaurants and stuff. So we do have the ability to blow stuff out. Uh-oh. So I don't really tighten down this blast gate too much. I'm still here. I swear to God, I'm here. So when I'm in and out of the house, when I'm in and out here, I don't keep it hooked up all the time. So I actually 3D printed these blast gates. And they work. Older than both of us, yep. Come on. There we go. Give it a second. And we're back. Yeah, and then we do a lot of our finishing in the basement. The spooky basement. So I plan on taking that piano and gutting it and then making musical themed things out of it and selling them, and then donating that money to my high school's music department. But I've been kind of holding off on it because that piano's like in tune and the action's good on it and it works. I guess I feel a little guilty. Killing a perfectly good piano. Nobody wants a piano anymore. They give them away for free all over the place. We are turning shafts for Turkish spindles that are used for spinning yarn. So the process I'm doing would be the same as making a baseball bat or a wooden pen or magic wand. I mean, I found it on the side of the road. Nice. Give them something to do when they're not making chili. I assume that's what volunteer firemen do, make chili. You know, it's just amazing. You know, I was born in '75, and just how much the world has changed just in my lifetime. I mean, in middle school, I took computer classes with Apple IICs. When I started in college, you know, it was right when Windows 95 came out. It took 6 of me to move it. This one's not so bad. I was able to pick up one end of it and get it into the van. It does have wheels on, and it was like a couple blocks away. But luckily for me, and this like Bakelite freaking metronome was like in here. And it's got the original hang tags and the warranty information. Which is kind of neat, actually. We can open up the front cover. So it was purchased March 20th, 1967 in Menominee Falls. So it's made its way quite a long ways to get here. And then of course, you know, your recorder, your Tudor recorder. Yeah. Unfortunately, somebody decided to mark the keys, so. Now I can't really play chopsticks because I don't have the. Nope. Let's see. Nope. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's not bad. I mean, it's still in tune. But yeah, its days may be limited. Oh, let's check on the printers. So we got another hour and 41 minutes. So these are dichromatic filaments. So half of the filament is one color, the other half is a different color. So it's green, it's blue. This one also has silver on it. So it's like gold with black. Pretty neat. Yeah, I think this is going to be my last batch of dragons. We'll see how they go over. Did the dragon just move in the printer? Probably the bed was moving on it. So this style printer, the bed is in one place, and then the extruder and everything moves up in the gantry. And this one is cantilevered, so it's only got one support. Where the bigger ones here, this bed moves up and down, and the head always stays in the same position. So when it does moves from one to the next, it'll move down. Actually, I'm not. But thank you. Maybe you should work on your rage a little bit. The way they work. What's for dinner tonight? Oh man, I'm trying to think. I had chip beef this morning. Oh, I think we're gonna do breakfast for dinner. I've got some breakfast sausages I'm gonna fry up. I'm gonna pick up some English muffins and make some McMuffins, I think. We've been trying to do grocery shopping for like 4 days, 3-4 days in a row. Rather than having a refrigerator full of mystery items in the back. Yeah. Probably over easy eggs. I think this week I want to play around with lentils a little bit. Hello, welcome in. Yeah, for lunch today, what do we had? We made salami, hard salami sandwiches, and then we had a salad kit. I think it was Mediterranean. It wasn't too bad. Not as balsamic-y as I would like, but it's all right. You made a snowman on the lathe? Nice. I actually got a video on how to make little snowmen. So making these shafts is kind of a special thing because they're so thin that I have to support them. And for something this small, they make steady rests, but trying to position that, it would take longer to set up than it'd be worth. Now, if I was turning something bigger, I wouldn't be resting my hand. You know, this is not a metal lathe. This is belt-driven. Metal lathes are gear-driven. A little disappointed. Rage, are you still there? It's 140. I wish. I have an infinity to go. Yeah, this is probably going to be the last one. It's dinner time. Yeah, I have made tens of thousands of these in my life. If I'm guessing, probably in the 20 to 25,000 range. I enjoy it though, I really do. So I picked up some WD-40 dry lube. That stuff is amazing because it doesn't attract sawdust to it. You know, if I'd put oil in here, it would just get all gummed up. The dry lube does not, and it does a really good job. So when I used to work in factories, I worked at Quad Graphics, which is the bindery. I worked in the finishing department for almost 13 years. I ran a big drum stitcher, so magazines with staples in them. And we didn't use WD-40, we always used Aerocroil. And I really like it, but it's so much more expensive than WD-40. It's the oil that creeps. I remember for about a decade I was using the new convenient king-size can. They never switched their label. They have a different can now, but... Right? Just keep filling it. Alright guys, I think we did it. We made a mess. I mean, lots of wood chips. Alright. Well, Mayors, thank you for hanging out with me. I really appreciate the conversation. But yeah, it is time to eat. So thank you guys so much, and I'll be back on probably Monday for a couple hours. I really don't have a set schedule, so if you want to hang out with me, ring the bell so you're notified, and we'll catch you next time. So have a good one.